Coming to you from Crash Studios in Music City, USA, Nashville. This is the Rich Redmond Show. On today's episode, award-winning filmmaker Josh Bishop. And now, Rich Redmond.
What is up, rock and rollers? Rich Redmond here. Another episode of the Rich Redmond Show, coming to you from Music City, USA. It's the last stop for the music business. Choo-choo, train stops here. Everyone's moving here. People are coming here from New York, Los Angeles, Miami, Atlanta, Austin, all the music places, because we have the infrastructure to keep this whole thing alive and moving forward. It's the songwriting capital of the world, and I've been here almost 24 years. How about you, Jim? When did you move here?
05.
05.
We've been here for 14
Vegas.
years. From Vegas. Well,
yeah.
20 years. Actually.
And I think I met you
years.
in 07 or 08.
Yeah, I met you in 07 on Myspace.
Yeah, a lot of people met on Myspace. I'll admit to it. You know who really won the Myspace game? Tom.
Tom did, but what happened to Myspace Tom?
I think he's on an island somewhere. He's just he's wiping his butt with $100 bills.
Does he still own it, though?
I think he's cashed out.
I'll have to look into that.
I think he cashed out. I think Justin Timberlake was involved at some point. I think my MySpace account is somewhere with my top friends.
When was the last time you were there?
It's a decade, right?
When so it's been a decade since you visited your MySpace account?
I mean, yeah. It just went away. As soon as Facebook went open to the public in 2007, I remember sitting at Sam and Zoe's Cafe in the heart of Berry Hill, and I started my account.
On Facebook.
And it was great. I think it's, people poo-poo it, but I think it's a great way to not nurture relationships, but open the door to a relationship, crack the door to a relationship, and
look
then
at us.
You can kick it open. Absolutely. And that's what we did.
Well, with MySpace, the last time I checked it out was probably 3 or 4 years ago. And I swear after I was done, I felt like I needed a shower.
Was this all like ads?
Just feel dirty.
Oh.
You know? Remember, people used to be able to customize their pages.
Oh, yeah.
All this flashing lights and neon, and it took forever to load.
But it was never on the phone, right? It was only on desktop.
Oh, it was only on desktop at that point.
Great.
Because the iPhone came out in 07.
Because, my gal, Kara, she runs her entire business on her iPhone. She doesn't have an iPad. She doesn't have a computer. I'm like, how do you do that? I don't know.
I know. It's nuts, man.
But hey, as technologically as advanced as we are, we're still trying to figure out how to set up a Gmail calendar together. We got to do that today.
Yes, we do.
You were telling me you're super busy. That's a great thing.
It is. I call it being pleasantly overwhelmed.
And you're just spinning plates, juggling.
Yeah, I'm focusing and becoming much more of a podcast producer kind of guy. I put out a podcast of my own yesterday for the first time in a month and a half.
Yeah. Now, what is that? Tell everyone.
The JMVO Weekly Primer, delving into hamburger clients and rate shaming.
So what's the difference between a hamburger client and a steak client?
Hamburger clients are those clients that come to you in the creative space that have a lowball posture. They basically, I think the crass way that we look at them as a lowball client, but they typically just don't know any better, and that's even kind of saying, they figure $20 should buy an hour of your time because, hey, a Walmart greeter gets paid $13 or whatever. But everything is an opportunity for a relationship is my attitude.
Totally.
And then you can build upon that. There's a lot of different virtues to a hamburger client versus a steak client who understands what you do and pays you the rate you want. And it's kind of a lay down type of sell.
Well, speaking of relationships, it's a theme of my motivational speaking. It's a theme of our podcast. And I have a brand new friend here today. He's an award-winning documentary filmmaker, Mr. Josh Bishop.
What's going on?
How are you, man? And what do you think of my Star Wars figures there?
Well, those are pretty rad.
And they're just randomly placed.
Well, we're going to get to the story of why I have those there. I'm so proud because I have the little carrying case over there. I got these figures in like 1976, 1977, probably the same year I started playing drums. For collectors, they aren't mint condition because we don't have the packaging. But I say poo-poo, I'm going to have these things forever.
Have you played with them?
I mean, I'm going to play with them today, in between guests.
I'm just going to leave them up there. Han is falling down.
Yeah.
You knocked Han over.
So Josh, you are a new friend, and I met you through our steel player, Carl Ray Jackson. And you guys are working on some fun projects together, and we can maybe get into that. But originally, you are from New York, right? Upstate New York or the city? Or
City, yeah. I lived in New York City for about 17 years. We moved down here, my wife and I and my daughter. We moved down here about 2 years ago.
Yeah. Are you liking it?
Yeah, man. Nashville is, I've been coming here since 2008, But and I never, at the time when I started coming here, I never really thought this was a place that I'd end up living. But as the years went by, it just started to grow on me, and it just made sense where we were in our life, and it's been beautiful. It has the right level of creativity, the right level of people that do this creative stuff for a living, without the I'm going to kill you attitude
Sure.
that you get in LA.
What neighborhood did you live in New York?
I lived in Harlem for 8 years.
Yeah.
I lived in various parts of Brooklyn for 8 years, 9 years.
Now, am I saying this correctly? Because I have a good friend, Sammy Marandino. He's a longtime drummer in New York City. He's over in Harlem, right on the river, 147th?
Sure.
Yeah, he's in that area right there. But great. I mean, he bought years ago when it wasn't. Now it's like the new Harlem. It's like East Nashville.
Well, I would say more so.
Yeah.
Harlem. I got to New York in 2000, at the very beginning of 2002, and my first place was in Harlem on 118th and Morningside, and I was the only white guy getting off the train.
Yeah.
But it changed so quickly.
Right.
Yeah. But I never felt unsafe. I always felt very welcome in Harlem. I loved living there.
Yeah, it's always cool. You can walk up the street and get a real Cuban sandwich. You can get soul food. You can get. That's what I love about New York. It's like a multicultural, smorgasbord.
Yeah, and we lived right around the corner from the Apollo. I lived in Harlem.
Nice.
I was in Harlem when James Brown died, and I was there when his body was kind of brought through the crowd.
Wow.
Yeah,
I don't remember that. I don't remember that.
It was nuts.
It was a thing. It was a thing.
It was definitely a thing.
So you were educated at University of South Carolina, is that right?
No.
No? Where did I get that?
I don't know.
Okay. Delete that. So when did you
North Carolina?
So I'm American, but I grew up in Belgium.
Oh, okay. I do remember reading that.
Yeah.
Okay. The wiki is not always correct. Shame on you, wiki. And so when did you get the idea that you wanted to be a creative, especially in the visual arts?
Well, I've always been a guitar player. I started playing guitar when I was 11, and I was just always going to be in a rock and roll band.
Nice.
And then I saw Jim Jarmusch's Down by Law when I was like 16, and I was like, well, that's rock and roll. And something happened. I don't know. My whole path shifted towards the visual. Never stopped playing the guitar, but I just started pursuing filmmaking professionally.
So were you, and I know you've worked in every aspect of the industry, whether it be, videography, editing, visual effects. Is it a learn by doing thing, or did you go to a school for it? Or
so where I grew up in Belgium, the European school system's a little different, and they kind of send you in a direction when you're younger. So in high school, I was already in a very, very, very strong audiovisual program at an arts high school.
Right.
I had 20 hours of camera a week, 20 hours of editing a week, photography, film history, and this was all in high school.
Oh, in high school, yeah. That's a good jump start.
So by the time I got out of high school, I kind of had like the equivalent of a associate's degree.
Right.
And I always knew I'd wanted to come back to the United States, and ideally I wanted to go to like USC or UCLA or I wanted to go to a real film school.
Academy,
yeah. But I just didn't have, $45,000 a year to do that. So I just started PAing. My cousin in LA was a stunt guy.
Okay.
And like a top level stunt guy. And he got me on to, he was doing stunts on Pearl Harbor.
That's
that movie.
Josh, who was it? It was,
that's Michael Bey.
that's a Michael Bey
That's
film.
a Michael Bey film.
Don't mess with Michael Bey. Have you heard all the stories?
Oh yeah, I've experienced the stories.
Evidently, he produced a Super Bowl commercial coming out this weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. It's a Vaynerchuk production.
Really?
Vayner Media. Yeah.
Wow.
He directed it. So
I like it's always a Michael Bay film.
A Michael Bay film. So he basically, so I commented on it. I said, we're expecting lots of explosions, lens flares, and bright lights.
And
slow-mo.
That was the very first movie set that I ever set foot on was Michael Bey.
Oh man!
And it was crazy. I was 19 years old. Not even a student production. I had never been on a film set. Period.
Right to the top.
The bar was set high.
But it's because of my cousin. Like, my cousin was doing stunts on that level of film at the time, and he just brought me. He you know, he had to ask his boss, and he made sure that it was okay. But I basically kind of interned with him for a summer. And when I went back to Belgium, I used all of that on my resume, and I just started PAing on commercials and stuff like that in Belgium, and then
one handshake led to another. And the commercials there are a little bit racier. There's like nudity and
that is a fact. Yeah,
all that stuff, right?
Yeah. European commercials tend to also have a sense of humor to them than American commercials.
Yeah.
Normally.
Well, we have the new selling technique in commercials now is just there's no hard sell anymore. It's everything's ironic and witty. And,
except the car commercial. They're all transactional.
A little bit more hard sell.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, I didn't know it was going to happen, but I played a cop last year on a show called Happy on the Sci-Fi Channel, and I got stunt credit because I got to beat the heck with the 4 other guys out of Christopher Maloney, the actor, and he was all padded up and everything, and the guys, all the stunt coordinators were like, "No, you've done stunts before." I'm like, No. And they're just like, okay, here it is. This is a fake billy club. Don't hit too hard because it'll bend. You know, we don't want to hurt the actor, even though he's padded up. So just make it come down really hard, and then when you hit him, glancing blow right off. You know,
which is right up your alley. It's like a drumstick blow.
It was like almost like how you would hit a cymbal because you don't want to crack a cymbal. So I got stunt credit. That was like super fun.
And he nutshotted you.
Oh yeah, that was really fun. Oh my God, it was such a great learning experience. Okay, so in recent years, you have decided to focus on documentaries.
Well, I wouldn't say recent. It's weird. What happened is I
set me straight, Josh.
I'll set you straight.
Can we back up?
Yeah.
Let's delve into the experience with Michael Bey. I mean, that's a pretty big experience coming out of getting into it.
Well, I mean, did you get to?
I mean, that's 21 years ago now.
Right.
But sure, I was 19. I knew I wanted to make films.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was really scary because the stunt department, and especially at that level, is the closest thing to the military that you'll ever encounter without being in the military. Because if those guys screw up, then someone can die. So you very much, it was instilled in me quickly that you basically have to be perfect. And everyone's terrified. Like, they're all terrified of their jobs. Everyone's scared.
They're making great money, but they are scared.
Yeah.
Why? What are they scared of? Just screwing up.
If you screw up, you're never going to get hired again.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Well, because if you have to reset a shot with tons of explosions.
Yeah, man.
Money down
people's
the drain.
lives are on the line.
Right.
And you're working at a level. I mean, at that level. And granted, I wasn't working at that level. I was literally an intern folding up boxes, watching all of this. But I was learning from my cousin for that summer, and it was basically Hollywood. First of all, man, I'm a punk. I didn't want to work in Hollywood. I was just like happy.
Which probably made you perfect for working in Hollywood.
Right.
Yeah.
I just wanted the experience that my cousin was providing. What that taught me was, this is not what I want. I do not want to make these kinds of movies. I always wanted to make my movies.
Right.
And so it was a great experience, but it definitely confirmed for me, like, I'm not a Hollywood guy. That's not where I want to be with my life. Mm-hmm. Right. So I ended up in New York. Mm-hmm. Whenever I did finally move back to the United States.
Yeah.
So everybody being afraid for their job sounds like a typical demo session in Nashville.
Well, yeah, it's like we got 33 minutes to get this song, from hearing it for the first time and getting everything perfectly correct. Yeah, but there's no explosions and then people like potentially dying.
Yeah.
The first thing that I saw we were on a boat in Long Beach, and there were dudes doing air rams off of the top of the boat. And do you know what an air ram is?
No, tell us.
No.
An air ram is literally, it's a catapult, a special catapult that's calibrated, and they calibrated the amount of pressure, the pound per pound that they put. They do all the math. They know exactly how far and how high you're gonna go.
Right.
And they're nuts. I mean, those things will
Launch you.
You will launch 30 feet in the air if they have the capacity to do that.
Sounds kind of fun.
Yeah, but okay, so picture this. Picture dudes on already 20 feet up in the air on like the top part of the boat, whatever that's called,
right,
doing air rams off of the boat.
Going 50 feet in the air.
Going another 30 feet in the air, and then probably another 40 feet that way, and then landing down on boxes. And then all the explosions and all the sound and screaming Michael Bey. And, and that was my first that was literally the first thing I ever saw on a movie set.
They were screaming Michael Bay.
Oh, yeah.
They had to shout his name.
No. He was screaming.
Michael was screaming.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna trash talk Michael Bay, but I mean, I wasn't around him that much. Yeah. But I will go so far as to say that a lot of the stuff that you've heard,
I just imagine guys like flying off of a boat going, Michael Bay! Shouting his name.
No, those dudes were doing their best to make Mr. Bay happy.
Right. Well, if you get hired to be a stunt guy on a Michael Bay film, you are probably at the top of your field. I have another friend, Ray Garcia. I went to high school with him in El Paso, Texas, and we were both into drums, and he became one of Hollywood's top key grips for the last 30 years and literally has worked with everyone from De Niro to Leo to everyone. It's incredible. But he says, it's high pressure and it's a lot of hurry up and wait. And then when you're ready to go, it's go.
It's not just go. It's like there's also, it is just expected from you that you've got your shit together and that you, are we?
Oh, sure. Yeah. No FCC.
You're not going to screw up. If you're, I mean, basically they're not even thinking this guy's going to screw up because if you're working at that level, you're not going to screw up.
Right.
That's why you've been hired.
I mean, that's the thing I always talk about is the culture on in any of these kind of creative projects, whether it's a movie set, whether it's a band, whether it's a studio, the culture does matter because as you well know, I'm a huge Marvel fan, right? And I have been for the past couple of years. I think the biggest reason why those movies worked so well is because you can tell, even just from a fourth wall perspective, that those actors got along so well that it just made those movies elevate to a whole nother level.
You would think so.
And it was because of the culture and, I think I have no idea how he is, but, Kevin Feige really just, created a culture from the top down that permeated right into the actors and that aspect of it. Definitely. It was like a family.
Yeah, like being on the road. Well, Jim, it makes me think about how Josh got his strong roots in education in Europe, and then he learned by doing, kind of like our folks at the School of Rock. Our friends Angie and Kelly McCright have an amazing school here in Nashville, the School of Rock. They're our friends, they're our sponsors, and there's 250 locations around the world. School of Rock. It's very much a learn by doing culture. Their philosophy is we don't teach music to play shows. We play shows to teach music. So if your kids are interested in music, they want to learn how to sing, front a band, play keyboards, slap at the bass, play guitar, play drums, it's a great place to do it. And even if they don't become professional musicians, they're going to learn life skills, teamwork, showing up on time, persistence, determination, working well with others, taking direction. So if you're interested in getting your kids in the program, it's Franklin at schoolofrock.com or Nashville at schoolofrock.com. All right, let's talk about your latest celebration. You're celebrating John Anderson's new video that you directed. It's called Years.
Yeah.
And can we hear a little bit of it here?
Yeah, man.
All right, here we go.
By all means.
Check it out. It's doing well.
My life has been a true blessing. I could have never dreamed to have lived as happily and as well as I've lived all these years. And if I passed away tomorrow, all the folks that knew me well can say, well, boy, he sure lived like he wanted to live.
Years. Everybody knows you gotta let them go, and they kinda roll by like tears. Just a measure of time, playing with your mind, passing you by those years. Look around, up and down, they're nowhere to be found. Like the wind, my old friends, they come and go again. Don't look back in sorrow, just hope you see tomorrow. Those years, everybody knows you gotta let them go, and they kinda roll by like tears. Just a measure of time, playing with your mind, passing you by those years.
That's pretty much hot off the presses. January 17th.
Yeah.
And the record is even out. It's coming out April 10th.
It's coming out in April, yeah.
Beautiful.
Good tune.
I recognize some of those locations. Where was that bridge?
That's Smithville, Tennessee. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's almost like it's got like a sepia kind of were you going for that?
Haze.
Kind of like a
I mean, we got really lucky with we shot that sequentially, and we started shooting in the morning, and there was fog on the water. We got really lucky that day with the elements. But yeah, we went for the whole vibe of the thing is very much like a kind of a retro. Like I told my DP Keith Lehman, I said I want it to look like Cool Hand Luke, or like a movie from the 70s.
Now,
60s.
To our listeners out there that aren't musicians, don't have experience, how many people are involved in a music video shoot? Say a video like this.
This one we did bare bones. We were out there with 5 people.
Wow.
That's great. Yeah. And that keeps the cost down, right? And the turnaround time.
But I mean, it also helps that everyone knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And John is just a professional and just such a pleasure. It was just such a pleasure to work with him.
He's a gentleman and such an unmistakable voice.
Yeah. It was, it didn't, this one felt really good. It just felt, the whole day was just really fun, and it just felt like we were out there making some art with a legend,
Yeah.
So there was not one thing that went wrong that day. And it's probably the smoothest film shoot I've ever been.
I love that. It was produced by Dan Auerbach from
the record, yeah.
Yeah, the whole record.
Yeah.
And so everyone look that up on the YouTube, John Anderson Years. The record's going to be out April 10th. I love that very much. Now, the next thing I wanted to talk about, and this will get closer to talking about the Star Wars figures, is in 2015, your documentary was celebrated at South by Southwest, right?
Well, Made in Japan.
Made in Japan.
Movie.
Yeah. And now tell everyone the story about this documentary.
Well, Made in Japan, I started making that movie when I was 24 years old. It took me 11 years to make that film.
It's incredible.
So it's a documentary about the first Japanese person to ever be on the Grand Ole Opry. Her name was Tomi Fujiyama, and she was on in 1964. She went on right after Johnny Cash at the 39th birthday of the Grand Ole Opry, and when it was still at the Ryman, back in the golden years.
Golden years, sure.
I became a documentarian because of that movie. I never set out to be a documentarian. I knew after a couple of years of duking it out in New York, it was like, if I'm going to be a director, I need to make a feature. I knew all these kids that were trying to make shorts, and I'd made a couple shorts, but I just knew, it was like, no one buys shorts. No one's going to do anything. I mean, those are great things to do, but come hell or high water, I need to make a feature.
Yeah. Shorts are just celebrated at short film festivals.
Exactly.
That's it.
If they get in.
Yeah.
So I just made a pact with myself. I'm going to make the first movie that comes my way, the first one. And it just so happened to be a documentary. I was married to a Japanese woman at the time.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. Yeah, because the fact that it took 11 years, you can't tell. Sometimes when you see a documentary, it doesn't line up. It doesn't have a continuity.
Well, let me.
Yours took 2 months,
Yeah.
but it's a week in the life.
Yeah.
Well, I had a very specific vision for what I wanted to happen.
Right.
So I met this woman in Japan. The story was told to me. She was the first Japanese person to be on the Grand Ole Opry, and I didn't know what the Grand Ole. I mean, I knew what it was, but I wasn't a country guy.
You're a punk rocker.
Yeah. And I was like, all right, well, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to make a movie about you, and I'm going to get you back on the Grand Ole Opry, and that's how we're going to end the movie. Not knowing that the Grand Ole Opry wouldn't welcome her with open arms. I just thought all that needs to happen is they need to be made aware of her existence, and then that'll happen.
So it was a lot of pulling strings to get her on there.
Oh man, it took forever. Forever.
Why so much red tape? I mean,
I have no idea. That was one of the main questions that we had. It was very frustrating. It was very angering at times. However, would never do anything to shit talk the Opry, but there were people who were very much opposed. But there were people here in Nashville that were very much for.
So Brad Paisley was he?
Well, so what ended up happening is. On our first trip to Nashville in 2008, we came down to just do some initial shooting, and we didn't know anyone here.
Yeah.
And a buddy of mine put out one of our associate producers, Michael Malakote, put out an ad on Craigslist, like looking for anyone who can help us with anything about the Grand Ole Opry. And it just so happened to be John Walker, who now is the executive producer of Music City Roots. I don't know if you know that show or not.
Yeah.
But John at the time was selling airtime for WSM.
Oh, yeah.
And he got us on Eddie Stubbs that night. Mm-hmm. And that's in the movie. You can see all that in the movie. And then we just from that point on, we were on to something. We knew that eventually this was going to happen. But that was in 2008. I didn't know it was going to be another 7 years.
Yeah.
I think I lost my train of thought here.
You see, we were talking about how difficult it was.
Basically, I stayed in contact with John for many, many years, and he eventually stopped working at WSM. He started that show together with two other amazing guys, Todd Jarrell and another Todd Mayo. They started Music City Roots, and then she was welcomed with open arms, Music City Roots, and the years were going by. I went to Japan, I don't know, 7 or 8 times to shoot that film. She came to New York. We went to Las Vegas.
That's not cheap.
No, and that's why it took 11 years. I didn't have any money to do
What's a flight to Japan? About like $3,000 or something?
I don't know what it is right now.
It's crazy.
It fluctuates. But anyway, no, seriously.
I gotta go.
But so basically, I had done everything that I could do. There was nothing left for me to do on that movie, and I needed money to like finish editing it. And I found someone matched me in Japan. I found a guy who matched the amount of money that I'd already put up myself over the years.
That's great.
And I was able to hire an editor, and that was Julie Lombardi, who edited Morgan Spurlock's first movie,
Supersize Me.
Oh
yeah, great.
Wow.
And so we were able to get that movie done. And then Morgan came on as an executive producer.
Very nice.
I also, Elijah Wood, I'd known for many years, and he also came on board as an executive producer and agreed to narrate my film.
Yeah.
So
Frodo's narrating your film.
Yes, he was. That happened.
Yeah.
And Morgan, bless his heart, pulled strings and talked and did his duty, and we got that thing into South by Southwest. And at South by, we met. She was invited to come on to Jimmy Kimmel because Jimmy Kimmel was broadcasting from Austin.
Yeah.
Brad Paisley just so happened to be there. But the movie was over. The movie was done. It was finished, and it ended. She doesn't get back on the Grand Ole Opry. So he came over.
It's like a French film.
Yeah.
Sad.
And it was a beautiful ending. Like I loved it. It used to end. She played for an empty audience at the Ryman. That's how it ended, and it was just heartbreaking, and everyone was crying, and it was like I
didn't see that version. I saw the Netflix version.
It was like a European movie,
right?
And then Brad's like, "Well, why can't she get on the Grand Ole Opry?" And I was like, "I don't know, Brad. Why can't she get on the Grand Ole Opry?"
You're kind of like the guy there, aren't you?
I don't know, Brad. And he goes, "Well, I can get her on the Grand Ole Opry." He just went, "Well, I can get her on the Grand Ole Opry." And I was like, "Pray do tell."
Yeah.
I am the Opry.
So
right time and place. That's great.
So he said, "Give me the movie," and we gave the movie to his manager, and they did some internal magic. And a month later, we were at the Nashville Film Festival here, where we won the audience award here with that movie.
It's great.
And literally, like the day that our movie played, Brad called and he was like, "Well, if she can stay for another week, we'll get her on the Opry."
Nice.
So that was crazy too.
That was probably an emotional day for her.
Very. It's in the movie.
Yeah.
You see, like
I saw it. Yeah, I saw it.
You revised the movie. Though.
Oh,
yeah, Jim, you got to see this.
I'd love to check it out.
I did it like 2 months ago or so on Netflix. Is it on Netflix?
It's not Netflix. It's on Amazon Prime.
I saw it on Amazon Prime. Yeah.
So, I mean, basically what happened is we had to then, within a week, I mean, we were done with production like a while.
Yeah.
You know, we had to like just jump back into production, make that happen.
Yeah.
You know,
and then figure out how to put it in.
Yeah.
Did you have money left over?
No. No.
Sweat equity.
Of course not. So, you know, we did it. And we got her back on the Opry, and it was weird. Like, I was like, we were backstage at the Opry in the, you know, doing the thing. And I was like, I cannot believe I'm standing here with this woman right now. I've been working on this movie since I was 24 years old.
That's be emotional for you.
It was, but at that moment I was working. So when you do documentary, you are finding the cinema of life. And I know that I'm not trying to sound lofty and arrogant. I'm literally trying to explain to you what it's like to be a documentarian.
Authenticity.
Yeah.
So you have to remove yourself from whatever it is that's going on so that you can do your job. So for me, it was very much like I had to completely remove myself emotionally from everything that was going on. Yes, in the back of my mind, I knew, basically I was just like, this is cinematic gold, but that was it. Like I had to completely shut my emotions off so that I could do this properly. And, and she went on, and while she was out there, I mean, there was a moment when me and my DP just kind of looked at each other, and he'd been with me the whole time. And I was like, "Can you believe this is happening right now?" He's like, "I know," and then he just looked right back into the viewfinder, and then she came off, and Brad gave her a big hug and a kiss, and she started crying, and I knew that's it. That's the last frame of the film.
That's the last frame.
And we'd been busy for 11 years, man. Like, and not only that, I thought that it was. I had kind of given myself to the fact that it was going to happen. We weren't going to get her back on.
And now she's back in Japan, living a happy life and playing.
Yeah. She's never stopped playing. She's 80 years old.
And she's so young at heart.
Yeah, she's been playing country music since she was 12.
Yeah.
Well,
she started at the on the American military bases.
Yeah.
Going back, I mean, when you have a movie that's already done and you're kind of, have that emotional closure on something like that, a project like that, then all of a sudden you have this. I mean, did it affect the feel of the overall film? I mean, after it had been in all the different film festivals, you kind of go back and be like, well, I mean, how did that feel?
It did, full disclosure, I was angry at the Opry. I did not understand why they wouldn't let her on. Mm-hmm. Now, I was not out to make a movie to bash them.
Right.
But I didn't get it. And when we finished that movie and it got into South by Southwest, the movie they kind of painted themselves into a corner. They didn't look good.
Right.
So I did feel like I had done my punk rock duty. It was like I was going to finish this film no matter what.
Yeah.
Like because you guys say she can't be on doesn't mean I'm not going to finish my movie.
Right.
And that is how it looked.
Yes.
But they were so gracious when they did see it and to understand the weight of the woman, and with Brad's full backing, they were very gracious. Nice. And we got her on. And so I mean, did my punk rock self, did my like young filmmaker self, my, pseudo Werner Herzog,
right.
I would have been perfectly happy with her not getting on. However, it was Tommy's dream. It was her dream to get on. It was my duty as a filmmaker and as a documentarian. I had to include that. Yeah. It had to be there. And because that was the story.
It's a living project at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of heart and humor and humanity in your work. I mean, you're a great filmmaker. I really, really, really enjoyed it.
Well,
very much.
Thank you, Richard.
Very much, man. And your next project, The Dwarvenaut.
Well, so what happened is
2016? Is that right? Yeah.
I am one of few. It has happened before. But I'm one of few people who's had 2 South by Southwest documentary premieres in a row.
That's congratulations.
and it just the cards just kind of were dealt that way.
Yeah.
It did. Basically, what happened is Main Japan was doing its thing on the festival circuit, and my editor on Made in Japan. I had 2 editors. There was Julie and there was Vicky.
Right.
She knew someone who was working with Stefan of Dwarven Forge, and I was kind of brought in they wanted to do like a reality show pilot. So basically, for anyone who doesn't know what Dwarven Forge is a company, and they make miniature terrain and figurines for Dungeons and Dragons gaming. As nerdy as that sounds, it is awesome.
It is a huge industry, and they have huge conventions every year. And I got to tell you, that's why my Star Wars figures are here, because growing up, my parents will tell you, I was the dungeon master. I played D&D, and I loved Gary Gygax and his creations. I mean, he took mythology and folklore from every culture in the planet and combined them to create his own world with special, strangely sighted dice. And then there would be these companies that would create figurines and terrain so it could kind of bring your world to life. And so
Dwarven Forge, Stefan is really he's kind of the pioneer. He's the first guy to start. He was Dwarven Forge is definitely the first company that was doing this. He started this back in 96. So Stefan is a sculptor and a painter and just an all around kind of just genius guy. And I'm very blessed. In the meantime, he's become one of my best friends.
And he's been backstage at one of our shows because Jay loved the documentary.
Yeah.
Our steel player.
There's a lot of moving parts here. But
yeah.
A lot of names.
So basically, I was headhunted to make a reality show pilot about Dwarven Forge, but I started, and I was like, man, guys, this is so much more. This is a film. This is a feature film, and not only that, I have the technology. Like I can do the thing. And if we play our cards right, we could even get into South by Southwest like next year. So,
right.
So everyone jumped on board, and we started doing that, and it just ballooned into this new thing, man. And lo and behold, we got it into South by Southwest.
Yeah.
And so basically, I tell the story of Stefan, and I tell the story of their third Kickstarter campaign. They self-fund through Kickstarter. That's what makes them so special.
Well, they were about to perhaps go out of business.
In 2011, they were going to go
bust.
And like a Hail Mary pass, he did a Kickstarter, and they raised like over $100,000, like enough money to stay in business. After that, they started to literally make millions of dollars.
Right.
I mean, to raise millions of dollars for
$2.5 million, I think.
Their second, but now they're going on their sixth. I think it'll be their sixth or their seventh this year.
Yeah.
They'll do close to $4 million.
What does that say about the power of a platform like Kickstarter, finding all your true fans and saying, look, if you want this to continue, I need your help. This is what you're going to get.
Mm-hmm. And dedicated fans.
Yeah.
I mean, people who will wait all year long, and as soon as one little clue gets leaked out on the internet, what's this year's Dwarven Forge thing going to be? Man, they're on it like locusts.
Yeah.
Like they just.
There's a scene where they're at GaryCon or one of the like Comic-Con things or whatever, where he's selling his wares, and the doors are about to be open, and these are rabid, high energy fans. As soon as the doors open, they swarm in.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite shots in that movie.
It's a really good shot.
Yeah, we woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning to prep for that shot.
Documentary filmmaking isn't for the faint of heart.
No, it
It's
isn't.
a lot of shooting, man.
It is.
And putting a giant puzzle together.
Yeah, and it's also, we get, us documentarians, we get a lot of respect from fiction filmmakers, which I'm very thankful for, because we do it, there's no money in it. It's very difficult. I mean, it's not that there's no money in it, but it's very difficult because there's not a guaranteed return for what you're doing. And to make cinema happen in real life, as opposed to staging it, you just have to make sure that you're there.
Yeah.
So how do you do that? Who knows? And so I just I leave that up to the film gods, and I make sure that my talent is worth it, and I make sure that the people that I'm working with are good. And by the time that I've made up my mind that I'm going to jump in on a project, I'm 100% convinced that it's worth it.
As you well know, I can appreciate this conversation because a lot of what I do is video and everything. Vaynerchuk, Gary Vaynerchuk, you're aware of him? Mm-hmm. He's all big on document versus create. And for the personal brands out there, documenting what they do and seeing what he does. I mean, what's your take on all that now? That's kind of
he shoots a lot of footage.
Oh my gosh!
What's the exact question?
So yeah.
Well, I mean, just what is your impression of what's been his take on it? And how everybody out there is on social media documenting their lives, so to speak.
I mean, I can give you my take on social media. I don't. To be honest, I'm not 100%. Up to speed on his work.
Right.
But we've come to a point now where everyone can be a filmmaker. Mm-hmm. And it's definitely, it's helped me and it's hurt me at the same time. It helps the industry and it hurts the industry at the same time. I don't need 5 cameras and 15 dudes to do what I do. I can literally, if the setting is right and if the talent is right, I can do something with my iPhone and it'll work.
Yeah.
I can use that in my movie.
Not crazy.
However, the amount of media that's being produced now is crazy.
Yeah.
And it's also, it's just like the music business, like what Napster did to the music business. MP3s have done in the music business. It's the same thing for the film business.
Totally. The disruption, surviving the disruption.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the visceral nature of the soundtrack for Dwarven Out, where it was like many of the scenes were just literally a guy playing a guitar. It sounded like the mic was like right on the, I mean, it's like you can hear all the fret noise.
I played all that guitar.
That was you. It was like, so there you go, saving more money.
That's so interesting that you brought that up.
I was like, who played that? Because it's like, sounds like the mic is right on the.
Okay, so I'm glad that you're bringing this up. It means a lot to me. That stuff was all recorded in my living room on my iPhone.
That's insane.
And we originally that wasn't going to be the score. Those were I was just providing stuff to the editor for this is how I want stuff to feel. But everyone was like, no, this. I mean, and I'm not tooting my own horn. Everyone loved the music.
Like, this is working.
Yeah. So what happened is I'm friends with John Ashton, who was the guitar player for Psychedelic Furs. And we got John and a bunch of other musicians.
Jerry Murata was...
Jerry Murata and Sarah Lee of Gang of Four fame, and she played bass on for the B-52s.
And they had a fun band name, right? What was it? Isn't there kind of like a funny band name that they had for the film? It was by the... No,
it was just... No, we didn't have a band name for the film.
It was like additional music by, and it sounded like it was like a dwarven clan or something. I'll have to read the credits again.
That actually, there was someone else who did some stuff.
There's one song or another.
Yeah, but that's not... Sorry, Rich. I don't know.
No. Go back and check your film and tell me if I'm crazy, which is highly possible.
But so we did a polished version of all of the songs.
Right.
And originally that's what we were going to use to score the whole movie. But what we found was that a lot of the haunting quality of the original songs, the original recordings had been lost because it was all polished and sparkly. So we went back and some places in the film, it is the original recordings that I did myself on an iPhone. And at other places in the film,
Sounds like the credits towards the end is very raw. And
that's all me.
Yeah,
that's all me at home.
Now, is there a you know what I liked about it is that it wasn't chronological. Like, hi, I'm Stefan. I'm half Korean and half Italian, and boring. I mean, I think one of the opening shots is he's waking up from like a hangover in his underwear, and then the whole thing unfolds, and it's warts and all. It was like one time there's a scene where one of his buddies is like, "You're hard to find. You have other friends. What were you doing last night?" Well, I was doing shots, and
that's Tim Kask. That's the first employee of TSR.
Gotcha. So TSR was the company that wrote and distributed Dungeons and Dragons. Right. And because when I was in the 8th grade, I was in the Dungeons and Dragons club at school.
Right. And you make fun of me for Marvel.
But no, it's great because it's great for a children's imagination. And I know that I have my figurines and all of my players' handbooks and monster manuals and stuff, I think, up in my attic. But today I said, you know what? My second best thing here is my awesome Star Wars figure collection, which I'll probably go play with after that. Anyways, so there's not a chronology or a formula to docs, or is there kind of an expectation in that world where it's like,
I don't care about the expectation.
Gotcha.
For me, I got really lucky with that material, and Stefan and I are on the same wavelength and how we wanted to do things. It took a minute to figure out how we were going to tell the story. At first, I was like, the idea did come into my mind to like, we're going to explore this whole world, and I'm going to try and explain Dungeons and Dragons to everyone. But then there was just so much minutia that it became very overwhelming, and then it clicked in my mind. I was like, I'm going to show the world the way that Stefan sees the world. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to make this movie feel like it's from the inside of his brain. Mm. Like, so we get to see the inside of his head.
Because trying to explain the game, that's a long movie.
It was too much.
Yeah.
And I had a beautiful editor. My editor was incredible, Victoria Lachou. And together Vicky and I, and we had the luxury of being able to cut while we were still shooting. That whole movie went from pre-production to premiere at South by Southwest in a year. We still need this. We still need this. We still need this. So I was able to, while we were cutting, fill in the holes, and which is a luxury. You don't always get that as a documentarian.
Yeah, amazing.
I just remember how long it took to do your documentary. I mean, you would call me up and say, "Hey, I'm over at Fool on the Hill. Swing on
Peter
over
Frampton
here.
Studio.
Yeah, let's just shoot whatever." Yeah. And I would go over there with a camera, run and gun. Whatever happened, and tell the stories, and you were a great subject. But I mean, being there like you're talking about at the right time and getting that authenticity and getting the subject past the point where the camera being there, that veneer, waiting for that to wear off. Is that something that you find with different subjects?
Yes. However, I think that's one of the things that I know how to do. Mm-hmm. I know how to make people feel very comfortable in front of a camera. Nice. and again, I'm not patting myself on the
Now,
back.
how do you do that? You just say, please ignore the camera. Just live your life.
Yeah.
What I tend to do
Because they're going to be sensitive to it being there, and documentary is documenting the truth.
Your first footage always looks different than the footage that comes after. Your first couple of days filming, the guys are always a little bit wooden. They're always acting differently than they normally would.
Right.
However, I tend to immediately put people at ease, and I have a lot of conversations when the camera's not rolling.
Right.
I have a lot of conversations, even if the camera is rolling and they don't know that the camera's rolling. I do direct my subjects. I do talk to them while the camera's rolling, and I'll ask questions and interject. I'm not a pure cinema verite documentarian like that. Like I like Albert Maysles or but I don't know. You know, I've also always just been blessed with people who I connected with and who feel comfortable. Yeah, it's the most important thing is making someone feel comfortable.
Yeah, but that's a big fear if someone is a subject of a documentary, and the cameras are going, say, 18 hours a day, and they want to present their true self. At the same time, they're worried about putting their foot in their mouth, or maybe something is said, and do they have control over what footage is being? Is there a document or something, or do you make your people say we'll agree?
I mean, legally, like if you start making a movie about something, there is an agreement,
right?
I can document your life,
right?
However, I would never paint someone in negatively. I would never do so. I'm not that kind of person I'm not out to make someone look like an idiot.
A gotcha moment.
Yeah.
But there are some people.
I'm there. My subjects.
Right.
I'm there to take someone who's already beautiful and to show that beauty to the world. I'm not there to make someone look like an idiot.
Nice.
If I'm there, then that's because I know you have something that's beautiful, and I want to help you show that.
Amazing.
It's funny because I watched a documentary recently, and this spurred the random question idea. It's a documentary called Beyond the Curve, and it's about flat earthers. And, it didn't go into the whole theory of flat earth, but it just showed the lives of these people living as flat earthers and taking on the world and getting together with different groups and everything. It was very interesting. My wife's not a documentary person, but every time we find something, we just, well, that's kind of interesting. It's just, and it was from their point of view, not about the thing like you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many docs now on Netflix and all those services, and I want to get into that. But we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
The Rich Redmond Show. We'll be right back.
Well, our big tagline has been inspiring kids to rock on stage and in life. We changed it actually to inspiring the world to rock on stage and in life, because when kids are here, they learn so much more than music. They learn how to be on a team. They learn responsibility. They learn to take responsibility for their actions. They learn to organize their time. And we try to teach them, not to be that person that nobody wants to be on a tour bus with.
Connect with School of Rock today. Search School of Rock Franklin or Nashville. This is the Rich Redmond Show.
So, Josh, we were talking about the proliferation of, it's almost like the age of the doc. I mean, it's like there's so many on Netflix. You like them? Good stuff out there? Or?
There's good stuff.
Yeah.
And I also am a big fan of the DocuSeries, because that provides a way for documentarians to actually make money off of what they're doing.
I mean, when you license or sell a doc, and I'm sure it's a license to say like a Netflix, for 2 years, the Made in Japan was on there for 2 years, right?
Dwarvenaut
was on there for 2 years. Can you make money?
It's hard. It's a lot like, it's very similar to Pandora or Spotify
it's not a flat
business.
fee.
You make a flat fee.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't own the Dwarvenaut, so I don't know what the numbers. I don't know what kind of business they're doing there. Made in Japan, we sold for one flat fee, and it's hard.
Yeah,
it's hard. I don't know.
Did it feel good after the 11 years? You're like,
it felt great that it was off of my plate. We are officially done with this, and I didn't think I was ever going to be done with it.
Yeah.
Now, docuseries, you mean something like American Chopper?
There you go.
Okay.
No. I mean,
because that turned into a.
That's more like reality television.
More like Rotten.
I mean, like
it was a documentary. It was catalyzed as a documentary in the beginning, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I mean more like nowadays on Netflix. There's what's the not just Netflix and
There's this thing called Rotten where they say like, oh, your avocados, you love your avocados, but there's a lot of bad things that happen on the way for you to get your avocados and your wine and your chocolate and your coconuts. And
that's not what I mean. I mean some of the
I am striking out today.
Some of the series is like what was the one? I'm sorry, I'm drawing blanks. Jesus, give me a second.
To me, reality shows aren't authentic. You know,
I mean more like a docu-series, like
the Curse of the Island.
No,
that's a reality show.
Second. Here, you know what? I'm pulling up my phone.
Go ahead.
Give me a second. Sorry, guys. I also, to be honest, I don't.
While you're doing that,
a lot of the murder ones.
There you go.
The murder ones, like there's like the staircase. There was one called the staircase.
That is an excellent example. There's also the
Yay!
Man, I am drawn.
That's what happens. It's going to get worse and worse, Josh.
This is real, man. That's
yeah.
You ever hear
Jinx?
The Jinx?
The Jinx is an excellent example. Wild Country was the one with about the cult. In the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
What's his name? Osho.
Yeah.
Basically, what they're doing now is they're taking documentarians and instead of making an hour and a half documentary, they're giving documentarians a chance to make like an 8-episode series, and it's still done in documentary format, but it's like 8 little documentaries that are telling a much larger story. Yeah. That's what you're seeing a lot on Netflix and on Amazon and on Hulu. Like Hulu did that awesome one about that fire festival calamity.
Yeah.
Like actual, not reality television, documentary content.
Got you.
Sorry that I'm.
No, you're
fine.
You were talking. So all of us are like actually like documenting our life and the highlights and the best parts of our life on social media. So on the break, we were talking about how you're like, I'm taking a break.
I have officially put both my Facebook and my Instagram on pause.
Nice.
Yeah, I didn't delete my accounts, but I've deactivated them.
It sounds very freeing.
Man, it's been amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like in this day and age, because I'm always on my phone. Always.
I think we all are.
I'm always this, and my daughter's talking to me, and I'm and my wife was like, "Can you pay attention to your daughter, please?" And I feel like we're so dialed into technology now, and like I don't need to know everyone. I don't
That's
need
what my band
to
says.
still know some kid that I went to 5th grade with, I mean, and I don't know that our minds are set up that way to actually be able to process that much information.
What?
So it started after a while. It just, and then, as if you're in the entertainment business, then you need your social media to make sure that you're still in touch with your audience. And, especially if you're going through a film festival period, like, oh my God, what's the film doing right now? Well, blah, 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 blah. And after a while, I was just like, I can't handle it anymore. I was like, I can't even read a book anymore. Like I'm trying to read a book and I'll be 2 paragraphs in and I'm like,
take out my phone. Yeah.
So after a while, I was just like, I am officially taking a break off of this, and I don't care what the consequences are. I'm doing this for myself and for my family. So for like a month now, I haven't been on social media.
That's nice. That's like, just going cold turkey. Well, I definitely want to encourage everybody to check out the new John Anderson video for the song Years.
Yeah.
And Made in Japan,
share it for
can
you.
stream on Amazon Prime. And the Dwarvenaut you can rent or purchase the Dwarvenaut, and I recommend both of those. You can also see the trailers on YouTube. And Jim, what is Josh's production company? You wrote it down.
It is
A Window in a Tunnel.
We could have just asked you.
inatunnel.com.
Yeah, go to inatunnel.com if you want to know more.
Let me ask you, Rich, would you be able to do that? Put down social media and walk away from it for a while?
It would be challenging because I'm trained myself to no less than 2 times a day tell the world what is happening for 10 years. You know what I mean?
But you're not a big reader and keeper-upper of other people. You just got to put stuff out there.
I live on my page, and when people interact with me, I interact with them.
Right.
I don't do a lot of swiping, a lot of like looking at the feed.
Right. No, it's all consuming content. That's
Do
the first
you
thing we
do
reach
the
for.
feed, or do you just react?
I look at feeds.
Yeah.
It's kind of a creative catalyst for me just to see what people are doing and what's trending.
We're all kind of creating our own viral documentary.
Yeah, well, viral is questionable.
Yeah, it's
the thing
Do we
I want to
want
ask
that?
Josh: how many people typically are on your projects? That on average, like while you're shooting and stuff like
Shooting, I go very light.
that. Do you?
I like to only have. The Dorvanaut was literally me and my camera guy.
Beautiful.
Great.
And I did sound. We did sound with Lavs, and every now and again in bigger stuff, I had a sound like in like Gary Con and at Gen Con, I had a sound guy come
Because it's so noisy.
You just shooting.
But
with,
also, it's just so hectic that I don't want to pay attention to sound if I don't have to.
you're doing DSLR shooting. That is that still?
No. The Dorvanaut was a 4K documentary, made in Japan. I did have 2 cameras, but I also did all of my audio. If it's up to me, I like to go as light as possible.
Yeah.
I don't need a lot. However, I worked in the film business since I was 18 years old. I can work with larger crews if I have to. But
Right.
I try not to.
The secret is delegating, right? And trusting.
Yeah. Now on the back end in post, if you look at the credits for Made in Japan, you'll see hundreds of people. But over the years, it took a lot.
I had a guy come to me who wanted to do the Gary Vee thing and document his life and have all these amazing conversations that he was having with customers and whoever, and put them up on a daily basis like Gary was doing. He stopped doing it actually.
It fizzled.
Oh my gosh. But he basically, he says, well, I want to have one person be doing this. I said, oh, really? Okay, so let me guess. I'm actually going to lay it out for you. I said, you want one person to do it, and you probably want to pay him $50,000 a year. He goes, yeah, that sounds about right. I said, you're looking for a unicorn. And I go, dude.
What's a good number for that, salary-wise?
Oh, there's one person can't do it. Every day?
And then edit it and...
Oh, shoot it, edit it, put a story together, titling, color correction, and then distribution in one day. And you're going to burn them out.
The industry, the current atmosphere wants for there to be one person who can do this.
Sure.
And they want to pay him as little as possible. And then they want to go, but this dude did it. And I was like, yeah, but that dude was 23. He came out of high school.
Right.
He came out of school with his iPhone and
Vaynerchuk talks about it. I'm like, do you have any idea what he's spending on that? He's probably spending $3 to $4 million a year.
Wow.
Just for probably a team of 13, 14 to 15 people.
That's incredible.
Because he's got, D-Rock running with him, probably somebody else taking notes, making sure that they're getting the highlights because D-Rock's shooting.
Yeah.
And then they're shipping
it's
it off.
pay to play, but he has the money to do it with. And
But he's smart about it.
It's in his advertising budget.
Yeah, true.
Well, I learned so much here, Jim. What did you learn?
I actually got, this what we were talking about now, validation. That a documentary series takes a lot of people. There's a reason why there's so many people in the credits.
And then I also learned and can greatly respect that all the fiction filmmakers are like, hey, this is an art because you're taking human reality and trying to craft a cinematic experience and story out of it. So massive respect to documentary filmmakers. And you're a musician. I love that. And I hope everybody goes out and checks out these films. I really, really enjoyed you being here, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to, parting thoughts?
Yeah. We are working on a documentary travel series with Stefan called Destination Fantastic. Where we've done our pilot. We shot it in Iceland. Look out for that. It's coming. I'm not going to tell you too much, but it's basically a docu-travel series that's exploring the origins of the fantasy genre.
Wow. That's really great.
Yeah.
That's really great. And then we have our friend Sean Silva. You guys have a secret project you guys might be working on.
There is some stuff.
There is some stuff in the works there that I know about, but you guys can't know about it yet. But it'll be happening soon. So I learned so much. Everybody keep in touch with Josh Bishop. Thank you so much for being here. As always, Jim, thanks for your time and talent. You are the secret weapon. You keep this moving forward. Hey, everyone out there, friends, family, fans, we appreciate you. I got an email address, therichrredmondshow@gmail.com. Send us your complaints. Send us your praise. We like praise better. We'll read your letter on the air. School of Rock, thank you so much for sponsoring our show. Keep coming back for the good stuff, and we'll see you next time.
This has been The Rich Redmond Show. Subscribe, rate, comment, and follow us at richredmond.com/listen.